Hello and welcome to the Transformation Project, a podcast and community for women who are looking to transform into the best version of themselves no matter where they are at. A place where you can listen, learn, and laugh along with us as we dive deep into different topics to help you live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. Remember, we are all learning here together, and therefore the content and opinions of the hosts and our guests should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Transformation Project. I am super excited about this topic today. Just so everyone knows, Yvette has absolutely no idea what we're about to talk about. This could be interesting, but I'm super excited. And I think our guest is super excited. I hope so. Anyways, today we're talking about human design. I found this a couple years ago. I don't even actually really remember how I found it. It just came across my lap. Someone had said it, and I just started searching and looking it up. And then when I was kind of a bit more interested in learning about it, I actually reached out to Tanya, because Tanya does this full time now. Her and I worked at a restaurant together. I don't even know how many years ago. I actually don't know. Oh, way over 10 years ago, because I've been in Australia for over 7 years. So it's probably closer to 15 years ago we met. So I'll let Tanya kind of explain her story, but she left her job to do this full time and really just helping people understand their own human design and how they can use it practically. So we worked together and about a year ago, I guess. And just since then, I've just dove into this, and I feel like I understand myself more. And anyway, I won't go into it because I want to talk to everybody about it. So welcome, Tanya. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to reconnect with you last year. And I love that about this work is that it has brought so many people from my past back into my life through them becoming interested in human design and recognizing, hey, I think I know someone who does this.
Yeah. Well, it worked out so well. And it was somebody else that we used to work with, actually, that she had posted all this stuff about that you and her had done together. And I was like, ooh, I need to speak to you.
And just so everyone knows where I'm at, when Jess told me we're talking about human design, I thought we were talking about like muscles and bones and body structure. So that's where I'm coming from in this whole thing. So I'm excited. I don't know where this is going to go, but I know I'm going to learn some stuff. Hopefully you will too, which I guess is what this podcast is about at its core, really.
Very cool. So Tanya, why don't you start first, I guess, by telling us a bit of your background story, how you got into it, and then maybe into what human design is, so Yvette and other people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I first found human design in, I want to say 2014. And similar to you, Jess, I can't even remember how it came into my life. I think maybe I heard it on a podcast or something, but I remember my interest was instantly piqued, and I started looking at my chart and looking at blogs and trying to find all of the information that I could. And I found out that I was a reflector, and reflectors are 1% of the population. They're very unique in the way that they experience the world, in the way that they're designed to make decisions, in how sensitive they are. And in learning about being a reflector, it just completely cracked me open in a beautiful way and allowed me to really see and accept these deeper parts of myself that I had kind of run away from, like my very sensitive nature that wasn't always celebrated when I was a child. And this was a time in my life where I was in such a space of wanting to grow and evolve and kind of going through my own little awakening of sorts, of realizing there has to be more than this. I'm just running this rat race and I don't know who I am. And so human design has been a huge tool for me in this journey of self-discovery, self-healing, and just getting to know myself better. And so that's really what human design is an operating manual for our energy, how we're designed to operate in the world, how we're designed to move through life. And to operate correctly as ourselves, a lot of that comes down to decision making, making decisions that are aligned for us. And what I love about human design, sometimes it's compared to astrology, which is great. It does pull from Western astrology, but it also has an element of science wrapped into it as well. It pulls from quantum science, DNA, as well as the I Ching, the chakra system, the Kabbalah Tree of Life. So it really is this multifaceted science of differentiation, as it's called, that gives us a sort of instruction manual of here's how you're meant to make decisions. And that's something really grounded and practical that human design as a system gives us that I think astrology, in contrast, maybe doesn't. It's a little more symbolic and can be vague in my experience of having my astrological birth chart read. Human design, I find, gives us really practical things to navigate our day-to-day life, which I just find so, so helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly what I found too. It answered a lot of things for me. And you know what? We probably don't have time to talk about it on this podcast, but it's helped me be a more patient mom. And I think we'll go into that when we talk a bit more about the not self themes, but because I feel like I just understand more. I understand me more. I understand my partner more. I understand my daughter more. And exactly what you said about it helps me make decisions from a place that just feels more authentic and genuine to me. It's hard to explain. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And really, it is supporting us in living an awake and aligned life. And when we speak today about the different types, and I can give a little introduction of the main types in human design, it really can open our eyes to what makes us so different from one another. And it really celebrates how different and unique we all are from the way that we make decisions, from the way other people experience our energy, from what we're here to do in this world. And human design can give us some clues as to, okay, this is the next aligned step for us to take. And to take a path that is of least resistance, because a lot of the time we're kind of pushing, forcing, trying to make things happen because it's what we think success looks like, or what we think our life should look like based on what we were told or what we was modeled for us growing up. And human design just kind of throws all of that out the window and gets us back to square one and tells us, okay, this is what alignment feels like. And this is what it feels like when we're out of alignment, and how to navigate our way back.
I love that,
so intriguing.
Exactly what you just said. And I won't go into it because I want you to explain the 4 types so like Yvette kind of understands. But when I found out I was a manifester, I was actually blown away. That's not what I thought I was at all. I actually thought I was a generator because I was conditioned, I guess we'll say, to go through life as like going. And I've always been praised for like, you're such a hard worker. You always have energy. How do you always have energy? Like, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink energy drinks. Like, how do you always stay at this like high energy? So I thought I was a generator. And then finding out I was a manifester and that my energy like ebbs and flows and I get these things and urges, I was like, no way, that's not me. And it took me months before I reached out to you because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe human design. I was like, this thing is wrong. So I guess before we kind of go into a bit more of that, can you explain for everyone the 4 types?
Yeah, definitely. So there are 4 main types in human design and 1 hybrid type that is often described separately. So we have manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, which is the hybrid between the 2 that I referred to. We have projectors and reflectors. And so manifestors make up about 9% of the population or so. So one of the more rare types. Then we have reflectors that are just the 1%. Projectors are around 22% of the population or so. And then generators and manifesting generators are about 70% of the planet. So they really kind of dominate the vibration of the universe. And many of us are conditioned to act like generators, especially if we had generator parents or just being in that workplace environment where we're surrounded by the sacral energy, which is what makes a generator a generator. So that for the other types is often a big hurdle to kind of overcome and decondition from is trying to be like a generator our whole lives.
Exactly what I think I've spent the last year doing, allowing myself to like go crazy work when I have that urge and I have that energy.
So could we start then? For me, I'm so intrigued by this. And I would like, in our family, like there's four of us. There's myself, my husband, 2 children in my house. And every single one of us, actually myself and my eldest daughter are a little bit the same. My husband and my daughter are completely different from us and from each other. And so often where I found it so easy to like relate to different emotional things that my eldest daughter was going through, or if she's sad or if she's mad or if she's whatever, I get it and I can bring her back from that. My youngest daughter, those same tactics that does not work like at all. Different human. Sometimes I have to just walk away because I'm like, I don't know what to do. So this is like, has clearly nothing to do with bones and muscles. I'm intrigued. Just lured me into this. I'm like, this is going into those like woo things that usually I'm like very practical kind of. So she's kind of like flipped the switch on me and I'm excited. So if 70% of the population are generators and manifest generators, I made notes, people. Make notes. What kind of people are those and what makes them those people? Maybe we can go through those. Can we do that?
That's a beautiful place to start. Absolutely. So generators themselves are about 35% of the population, and then the manifesting generators are about the other 35% or so. And so generators really are the pulse of the universe, and they are like the power plant of humanity. What makes them very distinct and how we know they're a generator being is if you look at your chart and you have your sacral center defined, and I'll give you a link for your show notes of where people can look up their charts for free. And when you look at your chart, there are 9 energy centers, and one of those centers shapes is called the sacral center. And if that's colored in someone's chart, that means it's a defined center, meaning they have consistent access to this energy. And the sacral center is like this battery that is fully charged each morning when they wake up and needs to be depleted every day, doing enjoyable, satisfying things that light up these generators. And so that's what makes them really unique in this world, is that regenerative energy. And so they're not that every generator is designed for the 9 to 5. That is so not the case. But when they are committed to something that they really love and enjoy and that lights them up, they have the capacity to really go and see the thing through to the end and work on it until the end of the day and still have some overflow energy to do other things possibly. And so that consistent daily cycle of energy that is unique to the generator type is something that the rest of us who aren't sacral beings, such as projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, are envious of and can spend our life trying to replicate. And what makes generators so special as well is the sacral is very primal, and it is this house for a gut response, a gut feeling to things. So that advice of follow your gut, that is made for generators. They are gifted with this gut response that either opens up and embraces something that is yes, I'm interested in this, I'm pulled towards this thing. That is their clue that is correct for them. Or if they get this hanging, nagging, sinking feeling in their stomach, that is their energy closing off and saying, nope, I don't have the energy to do this thing. So if there are generators out there who are listening to this and they don't resonate with having so much energy, I would guess that they're probably saying yes to a lot of things in their life that are actually no's, and are likely overcommitted to things that don't light them up and energize them. Because when a generator is committing their energy to something that makes them feel alive, it gives them more energy. It gives them this overflow of energy that the rest of us get to feed off of. And they have this very warm and magnetic aura. And when you're around an aligned generator, people just want to be around them. It is just such a beautiful aura to be around, to be in the presence of. It's very inspiring. And yeah, so a big part of being a generator is that body intelligence, tuning in with what makes them feel light and alive and excited, and saying yes to those things. And anything that makes them feel the opposite should be a no. And that's how they really harness their power and step into alignment.
I told Ben, I think this is why he switches jobs so often. He's a generator, because he'll, like, as soon as he feels in his energy, like, this isn't for me anymore, it's a gut feeling, and he's just like, I'm done. And I'm like, hang on, we have bills to pay, we have children, like, let's slow down. And he's just like, no, I'll find something else. This isn't for me. And I'm just like, and he does this not often, but like he has done it in the past often. And because I didn't think he was a generator at first, but listening to you speak about that's exactly what it is for him. He has this like gut feeling, and he's like, this is the answer. This is what I want to do, or this is what I shouldn't do. And like, not that he can't be swayed, but like, he just knows, if that makes sense. He just knows.
Yeah.
This isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
And then moves on.
And so that gut response, if a generator has low energy, that is a clue that they're misaligned, because they're naturally energetic beings. So low energy, and then the not self theme, every type has one. And the not self, again, is a clue that you're out of alignment, or just a signpost to kind of check in and ask yourself, what's making me feel this way? What doesn't feel correct in this moment? And for generators, the not self theme is frustration. So when a generator is feeling consistently frustrated, that is their sign that this person isn't for me, or this job is no longer for me, or I need to find some support to take this task off my plate because it's constantly frustrating me. When a generator is in alignment, they experience satisfaction from the work that they're doing, from the commitments that they're engaged in. And ultimately, that's what a generator is seeking, that feeling at the end of the day when they're like, I just feel so good about what I did today. And they just slide into bed and have a restful sleep. But if generators are laying in bed, restless, staring at the ceiling, that's likely a clue that they haven't used up their energy in creative and satisfying and aligned ways. So that depletion of the sacral energy every day is really important. And for manifesting generators, all of that is true, but there is a sprinkle of the manifester quickness. And so I'll describe more about the manifester aura and energy in a minute. But for manifesting generators, they're still gifted with this steady daily cycle of energy. They're still gifted with this gut response, but they're also very quick and sometimes impatient, because their energy shifts from one thing to the other quite quickly. And they sometimes have a hard time sitting back and waiting for their gut to speak up and say yes or no before they take off and commit their energy to something. MGs, as they're often called, are known for being the multi-passionate of the bunch. And generators as a whole are really here to do, create, and build the things that light them up, the things that give them that feeling of aliveness and excitement. And for manifesting generators, often that involves pulling together all of their different interests and passions to create something new and different that we've never seen before. And a famous MG who I often will describe in sessions is Tony Robbins. And if you think about his career, what hasn't he done? He's interested in so many things. He's a speaker, he's a philanthropist, he's into breath work and meditation and fitness and finance. All of these different interests he somehow pulls together and has created this absolute magnetic entity that is Tony Robbins, that people are just drawn towards. And that really is the potential for manifesting generators. But often they feel shame for pivoting and changing paths and not sticking with things till the end. But that's really their MO, is following their spark of inspiration until it's not there anymore and then moving on to the next thing. So it can be challenging when you have an MG child, for example, that wants to try 10 different activities and then doesn't want anything to do with any of them.
That is 100% us.
Yeah. And then as adults, either sticking with something for too long because you don't want to quit yet another thing, or it can feel like I don't even know where to put my energy because I have so many sparks of inspiration. And that's where it really comes down to your authority. So something in human design that is really emphasized when you first get introduced to it, when you first have a session, and if people are interested in learning more about their charts, this is what I would say you should focus on, is learning about your authority, because our authority is our inner compass. It's how we're designed to make decisions. And so for pure generators and pure manifesting generators, it's all about the gut response. And so for MG specifically, slowing down enough to wait until your gut gives you a yes, this is what I want to do, now is the time, and then act, rather than acting before you experience that physical acknowledgement of, okay, I have the energy for this thing. Or if they're emotional, then they're not necessarily meant to take action on the big things in the moment, because when they're feeling great and they're riding an emotional high, they're going to say yes to everything because they feel great, it sounds exciting. But then a few days later, when they're in a low, they're going to feel like, why did I say yes to so many different things? Or this actually isn't something that I want to do right now. And so for emotional generators, while you can still listen to your gut in the moment for the smaller things, when it comes to the bigger decisions in life, slowing down is even more important. So yeah, that's a little bit about generators and manifesting generators.
Love it. Should we do Yvette's next?
Yeah,
This is my
definitely.
thing.
So a projector.
You're a projector.
right?
I'm the projector. Yeah. So I had to give, this is what tipped me off that we weren't talking about bones and muscles, was that I had to give my time and day and place of birth. And I was like, but why?
Why?
So, okay, so I'm a projector.
Yeah.
Me
Yeah,
and
you're a
22%
projector.
of the other people around here. Awesome.
Yeah, and so that is how you look up your human design chart, just as you would an astrology chart, is by entering your birth information, your time of birth, your date of birth, and the place that you were born. And for projectors, even though 1 in 4-ish people are a projector, the world isn't built for you. The world is built for generators, really. And so projectors are very different in the way they're designed to operate in comparison to the generators who have this steady cycle of energy that they really need to use up every day to experience satisfaction. Projectors are non-sacral beings. They are our seers and our guides and our teachers in this life. They see things very differently. And where the generator has kind of a vacuum-like aura, like drawing things in for them to respond to, the projector's aura is very focused and penetrating. They really can see people and they can direct their focus to whoever's in front of them, and whether it's a system or a person, and be able to know within their being how to make things better or more efficient. And so they really are the ones that kind of come in and tweak and correct and change. And they're very penetrating, like they can just get people. And they really are able to understand how to utilize all of the energy that's swirling around them. But for a projector to live in the highest expression of their self and their gifts, they really need to be seen and recognized and valued in order for them to shine and to have full access to their full range of skills and talents. And recognition really lights up their being. And the way that a projector receives authentic recognition is through their strategy of waiting for the invitation. And so that this is something I didn't touch on with generators. Each type has a strategy, and it is essentially something to experiment with to help us live more in flow and say yes to the correct things. So generators aren't meant to be going out and starting all of these projects and doing all of these things. They're meant to kind of sit back and trust that life is going to present them with a variety of things to respond to. And for projectors, there is a waiting element, but it is about waiting to be invited by someone that really wants you, for your gifts, for what you bring to the table. I always give an example of going to a job interview. Like, you could still go to all of the interviews as a projector, but when you're deciding which job to say yes to, it's so important to discern which of those employers really saw me. Like, are they just trying to fill a spot on the schedule and they just want to hire me because I have the correct availability and the price is right? Or do they want me because of this project that I was a part of? And for what I do when I'm not at work, they find that interesting about me. And that is what feels better for the projector, as well as having the title and the compensation and that form of recognition that makes them feel valued. How does that sit so far with you, Yvette?
Pretty close, actually. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know about when you said recognition, I was like, oh, I don't really want people to like think, rah me or whatever. But I do know that if I have helped somebody and I get a message, which I randomly did the other morning from a mom who I happened to help her little girl with some health stuff, saying like, this has happened in our house. Like, this is amazing. Thank you so much. That freaking fuels me. That will fuel me for the next month. I'm like, right, who else can I help now? And it really does make me a lot braver and more confident in reaching out to other people, because in my mind, I'm like, I know that there's more people out there that are struggling with things that I could help with. And by not speaking to them or opening subjects or they might say something and I could offer assistance or help and I don't, for the next month, I'll be like 100%. Like, you could say no and that's cool. But that one message from a mom is like more than anything.
I just thought of you when Yvette was just recently away and she was awarded for our team doing something. Like, I know how emotional you got with that. And that's the first thing I thought of with recognition. Not recognition, like, I don't know, like not like what you said, not ooh me, but like it was that recognition of like you were doing something caring. That's the first thing I thought of. That, like, of course that would light you up. And it did light you up.
It did. Yeah, it was super awesome for that. And also, like, it flipped because it was a leadership retreat that I was in. There was an invitational only, but there were two things with that. One, in our organization, the only way that I get to be invited to those things, if the people that are within my organization or in my tribe, which Jess happens to be one of them, if they all helped get me there, right? They hustled, then I felt like a lot of that they did for me. And so I guess that in a way is recognition. And then when I was at the event, the thing that was most exciting for me was how much I could learn that I could bring back for them. Does that make sense? Does that fit with what you're thinking?
100%. And I'm very glad that you kind of made that distinction with recognition, because it's not about like, oh, I want to be famous and I want everyone to recognize me. That's not what it's about. The recognition is people who see you for your gifts and what you have to offer, and people coming to reflectors to ask for their wisdom, to ask for their guidance. That's when the magic happens. Projectors are natural advice givers, but if they give advice that is unsolicited or without the invitation, and it doesn't have to be this literal, here's a written invitation on a silver platter. That's not what it is. Is there an energetic opening to this advice I'm about to give to me, to the energy I have to offer. So recognition is just recognizing who you are and what you do offer and bring to your community and your tribe, as you said. If you're doing and giving and achieving, but you feel like no one sees you, you're going to become bitter. And that's the not self for projectors, is bitterness. And bitterness is the clue to realign you to come back to your strategy of waiting for the invitation and your authority, whatever that may be. There are quite a variety that projectors can have. And projectors naturally need and crave the affirmation, and it really sends them soaring, even if it's just, hey, I noticed you did the dishes tonight. Thank you for that. That can keep you going for 2 days even, like just those little tidbits of just seeing what you bring to the table and how good of a job that you have been doing. And that is so, so important.
We hope you are enjoying this incredible episode exploring human design with Tanya Reyes as much as we are. I am learning so much, not just about myself, but about my family and people around us. Please make sure you join us for part 2 of this incredible interview. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening in to this episode of The Transformation Project. The Transformation Project is not just a podcast, we're also a community. We're a collective of like-minded people all around the world seeking to live their best life and raise each other up. We're looking to support you, set goals, get healthier, connect with yourself and others at a deeper level, and better understand yourself and the world around you. We're always looking to link arms with like-minded people, wanting to create more out of life. You can connect with us via our website, which is www.thetransformationproject.net.au. Email us at support@thetransformationproject.net.au, or simply listen in to one of our podcast episodes, which can be found on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can even watch some of our episodes on our YouTube channel, simply called The Transformation Project. Please like and subscribe to make sure you hear all the incredible shows and guests we have lined up. If you have any feedback or any comment, we would love to hear those, as well as any ideas or guests that you think we should be interviewing in future. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Transformation Project.